On the menu today, some grilled lobster manicotti. You've probably had manicotti before, but if you haven't, it's these shells, these pasta shells. If you watched my recent video on smoked shotgun shells, this is what you use. But today we're doing a more traditional manicotti dish. We're gonna make a terrific sauce, a great filling, and we're gonna bake it up. First thing we need to do is get our sauce ready. We're starting with a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. To this, I'm gonna add a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce or tomato puree. Next up, a teaspoon of kosher salt, a tablespoon of granulated garlic, a tablespoon of minced garlic. Yeah, we're doubling up on the garlic today. The granulated garlic helps spread that flavor throughout the tomato sauce, and the minced garlic, especially as it cooks, when this bakes in the oven, it just releases some nice flavors. 2 tablespoons of fresh oregano that's been chopped, and 2 tablespoons of fresh basil that's been chopped. I'm gonna get down in here and mix this all together. This is gonna be one of those super fresh sauces. We're not gonna cook this first. It's gonna cook as it bakes with the manicotti. So you're gonna get some very bright flavors. I want the tomato to really shine through here. We're just adding those expected sort of Italian-y flavors, garlic, basil, oregano. Let's get a quick little taste here, see if we need to adjust for anything. That is so good, just so bright. And the thing about it is, I don't want this to overpower the manicotti. I don't want it to overpower that flavor of the grilled lobster in the manicotti filling. This is a great complement to it. That's what we want. So we're gonna put this aside, and we're gonna move on to getting our manicotti filling ready. So our filling begins with 15 ounces of ricotta cheese. To this, I'm gonna add a cup of grated mozzarella. I'm using a whole milk mozzarella here. Half a cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. 1 large shallot that's been grated. I use my box grater, works perfect for this. I've got about a cup of cooked spinach. Now I took about 5 ounces of spinach leaves, cooked them down, added a little kosher salt, then I drained them, and I also chopped them up and pressed the extra moisture out of them. It's really important to get the extra moisture out of these before you add it to this. Otherwise, you're gonna have a little bit too much of a thin filling. Gonna add 1 egg and about 4 ounces of lobster meat. I grilled up a lobster tail earlier out on the Weber kettle, took the meat out of the shell, chopped it up, and then chilled it down. I want it really cold. And we mix. I also want to just give this a good pinch of kosher salt before I finish mixing it. All right, that's looking good. Let's fill our manicotti shells. Now, before we fill the shells, I want to get our 9x13 baking dish ready just by getting a little bit of sauce in it. And just so you know, the way we're going to orient our manicotti is like this. We're probably going to have 2 rows of 6 maybe, and then maybe we'll tuck one in at the end here, but we'll play that by ear. You're going to get a little sauce in the bottom here. By getting this ready right now, as soon as I fill each shell, I can just put them in here. All right, let's get that filling into our filler. So what I'm gonna be using is my pastry gun. That's what I call it. It just makes filling pastries easier. It works great on filling pastas too, but I chopped this up as small as I could get it because I could not find the right tip. So I had to do a little bit of surgery on another pastry tip. Hopefully it goes through here. If not, we'll have to break out a pastry bag. Making a mess already here. What do you know? How unlike me. We'll have to fill this a couple times at least. I'm just going to grab one of our shells and pray that it all comes through here. Ah, it's working good. Now, once you get one side to that edge, turn it around and be ready to plug that other side so that if it starts to push out, you can stop it. But that looks pretty good. You can actually see through the manicotti shells that the filling is filling it. I guess that's why they call it filling. over into our baking dish, and we continue. Now here we have a broken one. Don't worry about that. Just start on the other end. And then come back to the broken end. Just like that. All right, I'm going to refill, get the rest of these ready, and I'll bring you back when it's ready to top them and get them in the oven. So here are our filled manicotti shells, and now I want to get a layer of sauce on top of these. And I probably made too much sauce, but you know what? This is really good for pasta. You want to make some spaghetti, some meatballs. It's just a really good sauce. I think you can see I fit all 14 manicotti shells in there. They usually come, the 8-ounce package usually has 14 manicotti shells, and I was able to fill them all, perfect amount of filling for that number, and fit them in here with a little bit of adjustment. But no one was going to miss the party today. No way. Now your oven right now should be preheating to 350 degrees. Next up, some mozzarella that I've just sort of broken up. It's that same whole milk mozzarella. This is another 8 ounces. Basically, I had a 16-ounce package of whole milk mozzarella. I shredded half of it for the filling. And now we're just going to top this with some more. Now some people pre-cook the manicotti shells before they bake them here. I don't find that's necessary. It also makes it really hard when you're filling them because they have a tendency to break. If you like them a little more tender, you could par cook them for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, soften them up slightly, but they're going to bake in all this moisture and soften just enough. And that's really what you want, is you want them until they're tender. Not hard, not too mushy, kind of that al dente, or as soft as you like them. But really, that's how you tell when these are done. And these are going to go probably 45 minutes to an hour at 350. And after 45 minutes, I'll check and see if they're as tender as I want. I'll just take a toothpick, slide it in here. If it doesn't have much resistance, then I'll know it's the way I want it. Now, for those of you who are my grill people, you could absolutely do this out on the grill. In fact, I grilled up the lobster. You could just keep that going, bake it on there. Just get that temperature up to 350 or so, or as high as you can get it, 300 say. Bake it until they're tender. Now for some Parmesan. I'm probably going to hit this with maybe a 1/4 cup of that same shredded Parmesan. And I did not freshly shred this myself. I'm sorry. I know. Sometimes you just can't do that. All right, I'm going to pop this in my preheated oven, and I'll see you back here in 45 minutes to an hour when this is done. Here it is, our baked lobster manicotti. This took 1 hour and 5 minutes in my oven to reach that tenderness that I like. Let me show you here. Just a little resistance. So it's really kind of that al dente pasta. Now, every oven is different. It could take longer in yours, shorter in yours. So that's why checking for tenderness and getting it to the way you like is the way to tell it's done. Roughly 45 minutes to an hour, maybe a little bit longer. But you just got to check. Now I'm going to let this sit for about 10 or 15 minutes so it is not lava hot when we cut into it. Then we're going to plate some up and have a taste. All right, our lobster manicotti's been resting for about 15 minutes in here. Let's go ahead, cut in, and get a serving out here. Let's see, we know we have individual pieces at the end here, and our others are running this way. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get 2 out of here, and I'm just going to use the knife to sort of get through some of the cheese, and maybe if we get into some of that manicotti. And then we got one there, so maybe this is the 2 pieces right here. Now, if you're going for beauty when getting manicotti out of the pan, it's not always going to happen. Oh, that looks good. Let me move my pan out of the way. Clean up my plate a little bit. Now, one thing I'm going to do is put a little basil on top, but I'm not going to use fresh basil. I'm just going to use this squeezed basil. I love this stuff. It's a nice little, really flavorful, intense basil paste. A little bit on top. Now let's have a taste. I'm going in right here. Cheers. That is darn good lobster manicotti. There's such a richness of flavor in that filling. But I gotta be honest, I think I would double the lobster. I can definitely taste it, but I want more of that lobster flavor, so I think I'd use twice as much next time. This is also one of those super comforting, kind of like weeknight dishes. You can make it on the weekend, but it's something, especially in cooler weather, that you come home and put this together, and it just fills you up and it warms you up.